So, again, no Chico, no Chris, no Kristen, just me. It's their fault as far as I'm concerned, but I don't know what else to say except for this is ILNL, so that's what I'm going to say, and that's the way we can start the show. How you doing, guys? Welcome to ILNL. It's Tim. As you can see, it's empty again. So not to say that interviews are substitutes. We have a really cool interview for you guys, and I'm pretty excited because it's very rare that we get to talk to game designers and actually people who make the games and have actually sold the games. So this is going to be really cool, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. So let me do a really quick introduction. So the guest that I have for you guys is from Philly. I consider Philly my fourth home. I can't get it up to number 2 or 3. I got other places before Philly. I'm sorry, but I still got love for Philly. I mean, you guys have what? Cheesesteaks. I'm messing. No, but my dude's from from the city of brotherly love. He's a comic book writer. He's an artist. He's a host of his own convention, J1Con. Big shout out. But what we're going to be talking about here, outside of all the cool accolades, award winning, and all that type of stuff, this man went and had me spend a ton of money because this cool game right here that we're going to talk about called VT Heroes. And I'm excited to make this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring to you Jason Richardson. Jason, what's up?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
Sorry about the Philly thing.
No, listen.
Like I had to count. I was like, okay, I love Florida. I mean, I love the water.
I love Florida too.
Okay, and then I was thinking, I love Vegas. I love gambling. And
Yeah, I
then it
love
was
the
like,
whole Cali, see, especially LA. I got because I go over there for like fun, but also business.
right. And then
So
I was like, okay, so Philly, I love Philly because it feels it's one of those cities that doesn't feel like a city until you get into the city.
yeah,
Yeah, like
the
DC
city
feels
itself
yeah,
is
like yeah,
very city.
yeah, DC feels like it's on top of you. But Philly, it just I don't know, it's just something about the city and the people in it and I got to experience it firsthand when I was up there working on a movie. So I really got to feel the different parts of what Philly is, and then I was like, "This is a great city." So I love your town. Um, it's still a little too far north for me because of cold when the snow
Yeah,
hits.
I'm not a fan of the cold. You know, I'm Jamaican descent. You know what I'm saying?
Trinity
Like,
descent. All right. So
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I don't like it during the winter. I stay in the house most of the time
Right.
unless unless we going out for karaoke. That's about
I could dig it. Cool.
food and karaoke. Those are the two things that'll get me out.
I like the priorities there. That works for me. All right. So let's talk about this game. All right. So just so everyone knows, we're connected through a really great organization called Artway Alliance. And in that, it was just happenstance that I lucked into Jason's world with this game and was like, okay, I need to give this a shot. And I was pleasantly surprised. One of the things that is a hallmark for a great experience is can my wife play it? One, will she want to play again? Two,
Well, that's
and would she actually talk about it, yearning to play at another time? This is one of the very few games that has happened. So congratulations. I was super shocked because she's intimidated by any game that I put in front of her. But she picked up and played, and it was like back in the days of playing Pokemon. She got it, and it was fun. Um, reason why I'm dragging this whole intro part long is because I have beef, and I wanted to address the beef first.
Oh,
So one of the mechanics of this game is that if you happen to get 2 copies of the game, you're able to truly do deck building. And so my wife, she's inexperienced in deck building. She has no sense of what makes a balanced or imbalanced deck. She doesn't think about any of those mechanics. She did what she felt was right. And she happens to know me. So we're doing test plays last night, and she beats me 3-1.
ooh. Look, it happens. Look, don't even come at me with that because I'm gonna tell you right now. Like I created this game to be so balanced that yes, I, the creator, lose in matches. I have lost matches to people who I've had in my beta testing crews and my quality test and all that stuff, and they learned how to gameplay and they figured out their own little tricks and all that stuff, and they would get me. So
I no, I have to.
that's a
Like
testament of how balanced and fair this game is.
the whole thing of playing a game with someone that's not a game player means that you have a competitive advantage. I don't have a
To a
competitive
degree.
advantage.
But here's the thing with this game, I wanted it to be accessible to people who aren't heavy into either fighting games or never not too heavy into card games like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, because some of those are, I mean, let's be honest, they're complicated, man.
Very much so.
So I wanted to go out of my way to,
Break up a happy home. Yes, I understand.
yeah, yeah, that's what I do. Like, that's how I live my life, Like,
No, but in all
just a home wrecker.
seriousness, in all in all seriousness, that was one of the things that was really impressive for me was the I could tell that there was a ton of thought into balance. And that's one of the hardest things to do when it comes to making any type of game, card based or otherwise, is figuring out how to get it to play smoothly, not break, or at least not break too much, but still have that ability to finesse your play, and it still gives you that flexibility and creativity, and still not break.
Yeah.
That's very very hard to do, and I applaud you on that. Um, because I lied to you not. When we tried the first time off of just one deck and we did things random, we had a ton of different variations of how we played, and we had different results. Not to say that I won a lot. It was just more. It felt like we had a fighting chance. No pun intended. Um, but now that I had to apply strategy, not only did I run out of cards one time, not only did I try to go combo heavy and I got the combo and then I'm out of cards, not only was I sized up by my wife, who is about a foot plus shorter than me, at the end of the day, it was a fun experience. And with all that, let's actually talk about what made this thing happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, VT Heroes, why? How did it come up? What was the inspiration, and how did we get from idea to on the shelves?
Okay, so we'll jump back a little bit. We're not gonna disclose how ancient I am, but back in my day, I was making games for computers on computers. I don't know if you remember the Apple IIe. That was
Of
like
course, I remember that.
colors, literally black screen and green letters.
Yes,
Yeah. With actual floppy disks, the black ones, those black
four and a
floppy.
half, 4 1/4, 4.5,
Oh, five. There were fives.
5 inch. I
Yeah.
just learned that there were 8 inch. I totally forgot about the 8 inch floppies.
Then they had the hard disks were
Yeah,
the 3.5 ones.
there you go. Yeah,
That the save icon. People don't remember that
yep,
the save icon is actually the disk,
yep.
the hard disk. Um, So I was making computer games at a young age. Around 12, I think I started making games. I wanted to be like Nintendo. I was very into. I when I talk to people, when I talk at schools and like do you know public speaking and stuff like that, when I
Right.
talk about creations and gaming and all that stuff, I always talk about not looking at the end result, but looking at the journey to get to the end result.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I studied Nintendo, and Nintendo was new at the time. Like Super Nintendo wasn't even a thing; it was just NES.
Right.
And then they put out Nintendo Power,
Right.
which was their magazine, and I wanted to do that. So I like looked at how they put everything together. I would make my games, have a floppy disk, get a piece of cardboard, make a card box with an instruction manual in there, and
Oh,
like
you talking about packaging?
yeah, I was down. I wanted to be the business. So instead of just making the game and just running loose and going, I make games,
Right.
I actually wanted to have a business. And then I was selling the games to my friends, to teachers, parents who had kids and stuff that want to play these games.
Right.
And then I had them sign up for a subscription for
Very
my
s-
magazine that taught you how tips and tricks on
very
how to
smart.
play different games. And I was 12 doing this stuff. Like I was this is my jam. I knew what I wanted to do at an early age. I wanted to make comic books and I wanted to work on games. Even back when it wasn't like as publicized as a occupation
Right.
as now, because back then there was no classes on game development. Like
Mhm.
there was no classes that taught you code.
Right.
I was a kid working in a bookstore, and I saw this book on how to program, and then I just like reverse engineered everything, and I figured out how to make games. And then
Right.
I remember part of me was thinking, well, we're not the wealthiest family. I'm looking at myself like, how can poor kids afford this game?
Mm.
Like, how, like, so I was like, I gotta be able to make games that don't run on electricity. So then I
Wait.
started,
You were thinking of all this at 12?
yeah.
Continue.
So I wanted to make um, games that played like NES games, arcade games, and computer games, but they'd be on wood, cardboard, paper.
Right.
Objects that are generally lightweight, easy to package up, and you could play them anywhere, even like in the back at church, something like that. Um,
Basically, you just told on
it-
yourself.
what was that?
Basically, you just told on yourself.
Yeah. No, everybody knew that. Everybody knew. They knew me. I was always in the back at church drawing or coming up with like graph paper, trying to design some levels on a game. I was the nerdy kid. I was the nerdy kid. Um,
Ah, okay.
yeah.
All right.
So I mean, throughout the years growing up, even in high school, I was making card games. Like every week, I was coming up with like a new iteration of the previous game that I just developed, and my friends would play it, and they'd be like, "This is awesome." I'm like, it was like DLC almost. Like I
Right.
was like, "Here's the new version, like with more, characters or this that." Like I was a mess. And then eventually, after doing like art institute and going through college, I I had made a game called VTF,
Okay.
almost the same logo. I really based this logo off of the previous logo. Same, the V and the T, exactly the same.
Okay.
Um, this was the game that got me into Art Institute. When I wanted to go there, I was like, "Hey, I made a game," and I would laminate these cards, because I would travel and I wanted them to last forever.
Right.
So I would cut out the cards, draw them, cut them out, laminate them, all that stuff, and I had the administration play the game,
Okay.
and they were, I mean, I can't even lie about it. They were blown away. They literally kept telling me like, "This is amazing," like, and they kept calling in more and more administrators. so like there was like the whole like upper faculty of like Art Institute was like playing my game while I'm just sitting like facing like the director and just like, so what okay, you guys keep playing, go ahead, keep playing, I'll just sit quietly. And eventually they were like, we got to have you in this school. Within 3 weeks they set me up with courses, everything, like, and they actually bumped a guy who is the alumni, and because they had a deal with like Wizard World,
Okay.
and they had this huge booth, and they would take the five best students, most of them alumni, and have them presenting at Wizard World. And you weren't like in the artist alley. This is back when like
You were in the vendor booth.
we were. I, I was next to Marvel. I
Oh,
was next to DC. Like, um, I what was it? Was it Dreamwave? And like the early days of IDW, Image,
yeah.
like I was literally sitting with them, and I
Hmm.
was like, I have a card game, you know, like, and mind you, I was only going to the school for like 3 weeks, so this is only for alumni, like top tier alumni.
Right.
So I was immediately hated because like the alumni had their clique and their friends and all that stuff, and they're like, yo, who's this jerk that just came in and like knocked one of our boys out? I was like, I made a game. And that same year, the VP of sales from Upper Deck approached me because they had just, Yu-Gi-Oh. They owned Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, and like Yu-Gi-Oh was getting big and all that stuff.
Right.
Came over because they made me a poster, like a giant poster. My mom has it framed in her
That
house,
is dope.
like all this stuff. Um, and he played it, and he was like, "This is an amazing game. We should talk in the future and like talk about what we can do to perhaps buy this game." And I was like, this is worth picking up. He was like, if you can make it expandable, we'll buy it on the spot.
Wow.
I was like, huh. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna think on that one. And I told myself, because I know that they want it so bad, it must be worth something. So I'm gonna wait until I'm ready and then put it out. And here we are.
That is a impressive, unique story that I can't say I've heard anywhere else. So basically, what I just want to recap and just dump this out of my head. You uh, went to uh, okay, no, we got to go back. Okay, so at a young age, you pretty much were becoming the Super Mario of gaming by mimicking games
Yeah.
from Nintendo, which
But like
is
being the business end too, like that was my big obsession. Was like, I want commercials, I want ads, I want like,
that is interesting you say that because that everything I see of you now makes sense, and I'll get to that as we move forward. All right, so you wanted to not mimic Nintendo, you wanted to recreate Nintendo in your own image. Um,
I did have a Mario character who was black,
I love it.
and instead of like later on when I made it, they had introduced like the raccoon Mario and all
Yeah,
that. I was like, no, he's black. I don't want him to make him a coon. Um, I'm gonna make him a lion. And so he was like a little lion.
I love the mind work that's going in this. I love this. All right,
I'm still a kid doing this.
that's awesome though. I think at that time in my life I was hawking cartridges. I don't think I was thinking about uh, at all being the man that's making the cartridges. So that's unique. Okay, so you have this entrepreneurial mindset. Fast forward, you make iterations of your games. You have beta testers throughout your youth because your friends pretty much are like a closed group. You then take this knowledge and expertise. You go to Art Institute. I'm taking the Art Institute of Philly.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I had a friend who went there. That's a pretty cool campus. Um,
was.
that's right. Because yeah, we lost ours here in Virginia too. So yeah, that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Um, while it was around, um, um, you're using that as entry into the school, get noticed, take someone's spot, become
Not
an
my.
exhibitor, and get approached by one of the biggest card manufacturing companies on the planet, but have the hindsight to say, if they see value, it must be valuable. I can build this myself. And then fast forward post pandemic, you're breaking people's households. I get it. I see the path now.
What am I, Lex Luthor out here?
This was a grand vision, villainous plan you had here. That just like, one day
Like
I will destroy a marriage of people in the DC metropolitan area. I see
specifically there. Like
this person right here. I will ruin their lives. Yes, this is it's really interesting. I love it. Okay, so let me ask you this.
yeah.
So, in the process of, we'll just move to Art Institute time. In the process of seeing the reaction from something that you came up with, just from inspiration, what was that feeling for you? What did it do for you to give you the data that says that this is something that could propel me into places that I either, well, I don't know, you at 12 had so much vision, you probably thought where you were going to be right now. So let's just say, uh, how did this experience help shape you into where you are?
Wow. That's complicated. Like what? Just from the college, like during college, like was there like that
We'll
phase?
say you sitting there and seeing faculty, people that are supposed to be your superiors per se, um, taking in your work and it getting to the point that it was garnering so much attention they were bringing other people in.
Um, I was just more fluttered, like everything was a blur kind of thing. That happens with me a lot when like good things happen like that. I just like I don't have an emotion. I just go like it is happening, and then like I accept it, but I don't know how to react because deep down I'm like mad awkward. Like I just don't know how to approach.
I could
I'm
appreciate
just
that.
acting
So
fine.
so let's expand on that then. In being in the moment, because that's basically what I'm hearing. There was something that you did feel, but you couldn't really articulate it. So looking back, what do you think that feeling might have been for you? If you were able to really pull it in and really concentrate on it.
If anything, probably excitement more than anything would be like the adrenaline rush of seeing because I get a rush seeing people enjoy my any of my products, my events. Like I like to just sit there and go, yeah, they're happy. Not even whether I'm making money or whatever. It's just I'm seeing smiles. People are having a good time. That makes me happy. Kind of like uh, what's the name Garcia in what was it Ocean's 12, where he was
You
looking
got
at Julia
me.
Roberts.
I'm gonna be super honest with you. My wife loves the ocean movies, and every time they're on, I walk out the room. So I couldn't help you. I apologize, but
No, but he was like not the villain at the time or in 11.
okay.
I think it was like the villain, but he said one thing to Julia Roberts. He was like, "I'm happy when you're happy," and I was like, "That's me." Like that's the only I literally I'm kind of like a mirror. So
Mm,
if you're like angry to me, I just I don't know. I guess I'm angry to you. I try not to be, but like when it comes to joy, I definitely like give back.
I like that. So I want to jump into the game. Excuse me, because now that I have an understanding, go ahead, do it. Show some swag.
Yeah, I was gonna have a sip of my
Let me change cameras for you. There you go. Good job. Gotta appreciate the businessman and branding. I tip my hat to you on that.
very
Um,
branding.
so so here's the thing. In creating a game, there's the need to relay a story. Like whenever you're playing anything, there's a story. One of the things that we talked about previously was the feel. And when I say the feel, it was that feel of competition. When you explained it to me earlier, you took me back to the days of the arcade, where you're putting your quarter on the machine, so your spot comes up, and when you come up, you it's on, and that feeling of 1-to-1, play your best, um, was a hallmark, like not a hallmark, but a theme all throughout the game. So I want to start there. It's apparent that you have arcade roots. Before we get into the game, uh, you're in the arcade. You're your younger self. What are you putting your quarter on right now?
Depends on the depends on the gear. So many good games. I'm a big Capcom fan. I'm big into SNK games.
Hmm.
I have back here's literally like 15 systems in that room right there that I'm still working on putting setting up. Um, phew,
Just one.
one
As soon as you walked in, you're heading directly to
X-Men versus Street Fighter.
awesome. Okay.
Because the other ones, I mean, even that I had at home because I saved up money and had my business hustle, so I would buy the expensive Japanese systems that had the arcade ports. Like I had a
Yeah.
Neo Geo. Like I was like one of I think I was the only person I had a Neo Geo. Like so like
Yeah.
I had all the King of Fighters games. I had Samurai Showdown. So I loved all the different fighting games, like so
But you picked a Capcom one. Why is that?
I love even though I love stuff like Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, there's stuff about all of them that I put into this game, but Street Fighter really hit me first.
Hmm,
I got the wow factor from Capcom because I used to be obsessed with their art team.
I can
They
see
had
that.
some, in the 90s. Oh my gosh. Them fighting games had some of the dopest artists, like the Street Fighter Alpha series,
The alpha artists were really, really nice. Yeah.
yeah, like oh man, like Super Street Fighter had great art. Even Turbo, like I had a bunch of like Japanese books that had like there were art books from the studios, so they had like all the production art. So I was seeing like even beyond just what you get on the box or an arcade machine,
Hmm.
like how they came up with the design for Dawson. Like here's all the different iterations they came up before the final one.
Right.
I love that behind the scenes. I love seeing other people create
So
and
that
session.
that leads me to this then. And this is one of the things that I wanted to really touch on, which I thought was unique about your game, and is that you have heroes in the game that all have different body types. Why was that important to you?
Well, I mean, part of that is owning a convention uh, and seeing. people online. Like I've seen it happen so many times where either a person of color or a person of the not the status quo of body types cosplay a certain character, usually especially if it was a woman or cosplaying as somebody, they'd be like, oh, you're too fat for that character,
Right.
or you're too black for that character.
Right.
And I grew up dealing with a lot of that because even in the hood, like growing up, in the hood, like people of my tone would look at me and call me a sellout because I wanted to make games and make comic books, and you trying to be white. and
Yeah.
and especially with my mom, her, coming from another country, she wanted to make sure that I didn't have any of those setbacks. That's why, if you listen, I sound like movie phone, um, or some weird video game announcer. I've done those things. I've done commercials like voiceovers. Um, but I was told, you sound white. It's like, no, maybe educated, but yeah, and then you every low key racist white friend would call you Urkel. They didn't know how racist they were because they thought it was funny, but like people
Yeah.
like, uh, especially if it was like a girlfriend. Oof.
I can thankfully say that I didn't experience that. That would really sting. But everything totally makes sense, and I want to expand on that because that awareness is very unique. When you're there overseeing your con, or you're seeing the chatter on social or anything like that, where people are being discriminated against for color of their skin, body type. Someone might be considered a bit too fluffy to be Sailor Moon, which is ridiculous. Um,
Or even to because didn't mean to interrupt, but
no,
there's
no, go
one
ahead.
thing that I wanted to jump in and say. When people talk about body positivity, there's one type they always forget about, and that's the super thin people who get
Huh?
marginalized because they don't have enough curves or proportions to be Psylocke, or you're too skinny to be Rogue,
Right,
not this and that, like. So that was one of the reasons why I made ones, especially when it comes to spandex characters. You
right.
know, BT Heroes being spandex,
Yeah.
it's pretty much influenced by Tokusatsu or Power Rangers and all that such. I used to see that a lot.
Hmm.
A lot of plus size people cosplaying as like Power Rangers, and people online were like, "Oh, there's no fat Rangers, or there's no skinny Ranger." Like, so I made them. So now they're accurate.
I like that. I like that. Okay, so since we're going down that road, um, one of the things that I really liked in your storytelling too for this particular game was that you combined that virtual element, giving the player the feel of taking on the persona of the character that they're playing.
Yeah.
Um, One, how did you think to do that? And two, why was that a part of the story that helped to create VT Heroes? Like when you're normally thinking of any type of role playing game, that's what we can kind of compare it to a little bit. Um, you're taking on some type of archetype. Here, you're a type of virtual fighter, and you have certain abilities, and that's who you are. How did that idea develop?
I just one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to break a lot of rules like and tropes,
Hmm.
without being woke. Because I really, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a fan of all of this. Like, you gotta be woke and all this. Just normalize things. Like
Hmm.
that's how you win. So like, I was just like, all right, cool. This this is a way to do it without making it the the gimmick.
Hmm.
It's an added bonus. Um, when you're playing, and I thought of it as a person playing video games. If you play, say, a virtual reality version of like Tomb Raider,
All right.
when you log in, you're Lara Croft.
Hmm.
It doesn't turn into you. You get what I'm saying? Like if you play in Street Fighter and you play as Chun Li, if I pick up Chun Li and play as Chun Li does not turn into a black man with locks.
Not unless you put in the cheat code.
I mean, that's a different story, though. That's a whole different thing. We ain't gonna go into that. But yeah, but no, but that was one of the things I wanted to do, and I wanted to try and I wanted to break gender norms, like or the gender tropes, especially in the genre of like Sentai and Tokusatsu.
Right.
Um, and like one of the things was that's one of the reasons why I like fighting games is because they're the only group that promotes body positivity
Hmm.
when it comes to games.
Okay.
Think about it. Since Street Fighter, there's always been a big guy. E Honda has always
Right.
been. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's all, and that was one of the things I really liked about Capcom is all the different body types. Ryu is different from Sagat,
Hmm.
who's different from Balrog, who's different from E Honda. And even with the women, like you had Chun Li for a while, but then when they brought in Cammy, she's a different body type than Chun Li.
Right.
They introduced Rose. She's also a different body type. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I just wanted to put a couple of like, there's no representation of a thick girl. Never seen a thick girl in a fighting game.
Fair enough.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna make it a red one because that's usually a guy.
Yep.
And that was the other thing. Is like I tried to split the numbers in half on male to female ratio. Um, and the women are colors that are usually assigned to like male characters.
I'm seeing it now. I was because
The
the
red, green,
immediately I thought
black.
of YT VT yellow and how that would have been the Yellow Ranger, and the genders changed there, and same thing for VT red. Uh, I didn't think of that's pretty smart. Continue.
Even VT Pink is actually a buff guy,
Yeah.
you know, and actually one of the strongest physical characters. So when you want to use a power heavy like person with attack, your options are a thick girl or a muscular man in pink. Like,
I love it. I love how all that is just flipped on its head. That is dope.
and it's a way for people to like go like, oh, I want to be VT Pink because like I want that power. That's a character's cool. Like, and it doesn't make it be a thing like, oh, pink is for girls. Because I remember back in the day, we used to rock pink polos,
Yep.
and that was the jam right there. Get that pink polo shirt, be out there flexing like, hey. But
Ah,
yeah, I just wanted to bring back. Plus, just I wanted to do representation without making it a circus.
you didn't want it to be on top of someone's head, just like being preachy, as you put it, woke.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's been working out for me because that's the thing that people like. They're like, oh, this is cool. I used to like Power Rangers, and then it's like, wait, is the red one thick? Oh, and then and then everyone jumps on the gray one because they're like, yo, your gray one, he has a belly.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's so awesome. And then
I have
every
one.
dude hits me up and be like, I want to cosplay as the gray one. It's always like a big guy who's like, I want to be the gray one. And I'm like, that's what I want. I want people to want to be those characters. That's why you can't even tell what ethnicity they are. I
And
cover
that
into their bodies.
And
So
that was one of the things that I wanted to mention about the design was that
yeah,
you didn't make it race specific,
no.
and it then also increases accessibility because all you're doing is just looking at, okay, huh, I am kind of stocky. This character does kind of make me feel like this particular one because now that I'm looking at it, I was like, yeah, I do look like the VT pink. Well, no, I'm kidding. Now I'm more like VT gray.
When I'm working out and getting ready for a shoot or something, I'm more so VT blue. But right now, with all the
With
pandemic
quarantine
stuff,
and I'm looking at VT blue.
'cause I was always like the little guy.
Yeah, he does kind of have a Peter Parker shape to him. I can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that. Yeah. Okay. I can work with that. So let's move into gameplay.
yeah.
All right. Another thing that was intriguing about it, and I think this is one of the things that won my my wife over, was going with something familiar. The whole thing of rock paper scissors or Rochambeau, depending on how old you are. Um, there's a 1 in 3 chance that you're going to beat the other person, with the fourth being a tie. Um, it sounds simple, but you made it complex and simple at the same time, and that's what I wanted to get into. When you were thinking about putting on the what beats what factor, what challenges did you have to try to balance that, but still have it to where it was a quick play decision? Because I tell you, when we actually built decks and we hit each other with the same card and laughed, that made me smile. Then it got me mad. So how did you figure to make this 1 2 3 go mechanic work in a card game?
Well, I mean, it plays itself. I mean, it works. I don't know. I took it as the programming. I guess my programming mind
Mm,
from when I was making games, and I've made a couple like my little crappy indie fighting games way back then,
mm,
and I just thought of the logic behind it because if you think about it, the fighting games themselves do the same thing.
okay.
Like, if you try to do an attack where you have to take into go into the air, you usually have some type of move that's known as an anti-air. So you
Right.
jump in the air to do something, it's like, sure, you can, and it knocks you out of there.
Right.
Same thing with physical moves that have to go left or right. You can usually knock it out with an anti-air. So if somebody's doing a hurricane kick, like in Street Fighter,
Yep.
you can dragon punch right out of it, but you can't dragon punch a fireball.
You can dragon punch through a fireball.
There's the invincibility frames, yes, but if you
Okay.
had to have them clash,
Right, then it would always connect.
the fireball would always connect.
Right.
And it's logic like that I put towards it. Because even in mine, that's why I made sure I also wanted to make it different enough. So instead of just 3 options, you have 4 options. So
Hmm.
that made me think even harder because it was like with 3 options, rock paper scissors. You know that circle of what beats what is
Right.
always going to work. You add a fourth thing in there. Now it changes up the math, and you now it has to be even. So it was a process of knowing what type of cards they were going to be. Like if you look at the game, attack cards are all hand to hand moves.
Okay. I'm gonna take a look real quick. Huh. It's funny. As soon as I just go right to attack. Yep. Yep. Okay. Continue.
Defense cards, obviously defensive cards, but they also represent your element. That's the only cards wherever you see somebody do like an elemental type thing is defense cards.
Hmm.
Um, Power cards are weapons,
Right.
and your totem slash spirit animal.
Right.
So it kind of grounds the gameplay. So I know at least when I make a new set, because I'm working on Series 2 right now, you know, clothesline is going to be an attack because it's a hand to hand thing.
Right.
Like, laser rifle is going to be power card. And then like intelligence cards, I looked at intelligence cards as like super meters and stuff like that.
Cool.
You could boost yourself, upgrade yourself so you can level up to do bigger, better moves. I was thinking about fighting games like King of Fighters.
Okay.
In King of Fighters, depending on the mode or the year that game, because they were an annual game.
Yep.
If you hold down two, maybe all four buttons, I think it was two buttons,
Depending
you
on
would
the version of the game, yeah. Mm-hmm.
you could charge your super meter.
Yeah.
And once you got it to full charge, now you're able to do the big super moves. So I was looking at the intelligence cards as that's leveling you up. Just like even in like the Capcom fighting games, you have not, depending on the character, you can have 1 to 3 super meters.
Right.
And those intelligence cards, they upgrade you so that now you have a level 3, so now you can do that crazy super move that only uses level 3. I This is how I pieced together I feel like it doesn't make sense when I try to explain it to people.
No, you're making perfect sense to me, and I'm just thinking about to my 3-1 loss, and
If you understand fighting games,
hmm
that will give if you understand the basis of fighting games and the structure behind like the logic behind fighting games, you can have an advantage in this game.
I disagree with you, and this is why, because it was proven that a non-fighting game player now okay, I'm gonna tell you how much of a fighting game player I am. You said that you probably know yourself as the only person or only person at that time that had a Neo Geo. Well, now you know too. So I have my KOFs and I have my SNK versus Capcom. I have like all the tons of MVS cartridges and AES cartridges. I have them, and they're
Oh,
still
man.
in my. They're still connected to that TV right over there. Um, so I have a button masher thanks to you because someone who doesn't have fighting mechanics built into their brain was able to understand. And this is a credit to you. It's also a diss, but it's a credit to you.
No, I'm taking the credit. No, I'm fine. Fine.
uh, but it's just the whole thing of um, accessibility again. Like someone who didn't have that uh, background knowledge was raised in the arcades was able to uh, I won't say outwit, but definitely outplayed someone that had that experience. And then that's a credit to design. And I I wonder in your beta testing, did things come out the way that you anticipated when you first had your first pack ready for playtest, or was all this iteration? This was okay. We found where it's broken. Let's go ahead and fix that. We found where it's broken. Let's fix that. For you to get to this point where the game it was ship ready,
Yeah.
what was that process like for you?
Thankfully, I have a lot of nephews and nieces that are close by that they love everything. They like watching me draw and all that other stuff. But I was like, "You guys are gonna play my game," and they were like super excited. And then I have friends in the industry who love playtesting my stuff, and it was a process of overall I had it down, and then I did stuff like time the matches.
Hmm.
And I was like, all right, this match is taking too long. And I noticed a running pattern of these matches take too long. Oh, that's because I'm allowing them to use all the cards.
Hmm.
Or I remember when I first started the game, your life points was at 100, and when I was
Okay.
playing it, I was like, "Oh, this is too long. I don't want. I want this game to you to jump in, fight, jump out the same way you would a fighting game. I wanted it to have rounds with your homies is like 5 to 10 minutes. You know what I mean? It could
Right.
be as short as like 30 seconds, or it could go to like
I had a quick loss.
you just putting yourself out there, huh? You just
Hey, hey, I'm for the people. I let the people know that sometimes I lose, but most times I win. But that's okay.
there you go. But see, but that is like I remember it was a Thanksgiving, and I actually over here I could show you if you want what the actual beta, the not even the beta, the alpha of the game looked like.
Really?
I still have it. I,
I'm intrigued. How much trouble would that be to make it happen?
oh, like 10 seconds.
Oh wow. Well, while we're doing that, I'm gonna switch cameras.
Oh.
So, whoa. Okay, never mind. Someone's 10 seconds is faster than my 10 seconds. All right, what you got?
Like these little scraps of paper.
Wow.
It was called Hero EX at first because that was another game I was developing. But see, here's one of the cards. This is VT Purple.
Huh.
I didn't do any art for it because I wanted the math to work first.
Interesting.
And then I
Okay.
put everything in pencil just in case I had to change it. I mean, there's some times where I actually change some stuff, but like there's the battle points at the bottom, what color it is, the stats, and then these are some of the actual cards you're playing with. Like this is
Huh.
the intelligence downgrade
Which,
card,
which my
and I
wife used on me.
you see at the bottom I changed how many levels it was. It was a level 4 card at one point. It was a level 5. I
Let's let's
bounced it around.
let's talk about that because that went into your balancing. What decisions were you making in order to say this was something that either A was not intended or B just needed to be fixed? Like how did you come to those decisions in your playtests and also just in your design to say in order for this to come out to the way I want it to be, these changes were necessary to be made. What was the thinking process?
Oof. I I'm insane. So like there's no like rhyme or reason. Like I tell people I'm just there's a method to the madness. I don't even know it sometimes. Like I'll go into like this haze and I'll just start writing symbols and stuff, and then I'm like that makes sense to me. All right, I figured out the math. Some of it is a lot of it is math.
Mm,
Um, and it's I tried to look at certain moves like if it's going to be a high level card, and I thought fighting games like high level card does high damage, but it's not accessible to just anyone. You would have to
fighting
like
game mechanics.
build up to that,
Yeah.
or if you automatically start with that, you're lacking in other areas. Just like I when I made this game, I give you a simple balancing thing. If you were a physically powerful person in my head, you had to move slower.
Right.
If you were weaker, you move faster. And then
So
people in between would be not as strong, but not as fast. They're like, and then I range from there because the base is VT Blue is my starting point,
hmm
and I based everyone outward.
okay. It's funny when we built our decks, we both started with VT Blue.
Yeah, because VT Blue
He's your
mentally
Ken Ryu.
exactly.
Yep.
He's the blueprint of everybody else. You know, they're either going to be stronger than him or have more intelligence than him or something. There's going to be something that clashes. And then I wanted to create a number that would throw you off to balance people. So you need 3 cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted people to be forced not to just do a perfect balance character where it's just all twos or something like that.
Mm.
So I was like, I need to pick a number that's not going to work with 3. I was like 10. I was like, there's no way you can take 3 and put it into 10. So you have to make the 10 battle points. So no matter what, somewhere you're going to be lacking.
And I can attest to that. That happened a lot in
And
decision
and,
making.
and part of the balance is taking away the balance from other people.
Very well thought out. I like that. Okay. Um, I just keep thinking back to this 3-1.
You really hung up on this man.
No, because see, it's the whole thing of context. Like when you're learning about what went into the end result, everything starts to explain itself, which is the point that I wanted to get back to, which was about how much you put into VT Heroes to increase awareness about it. Uh, can you show the people? Can you show the people the minifig helmet and the actual put it over your head helmet? I'm serious. I was thinking to myself like I need a red one in my life, and I didn't think that it was made until this man was like, "Here you go. Take a look at this." All right,
Yeah.
show the other one. Oh wait, you're gonna put it on? Oh my goodness. You and I are not friends. I didn't know that you could fit it on. So that's ridiculous. Okay, so just to give everyone context, you should check out a ton of the videos that went into promoting this game. It's insane. I was showing my wife this. Like she's my measuring stick as far as like John Q. Public. Um, I showed her some of the videos, and she was like, "That was really creative." So I wanted to go into your thought process of making people aware because I mean this was a totally funded Kickstarter, like blew up on Kickstarter. Um,
Wow. Yeah.
what was that like for you? Like what was putting it out there and seeing the reaction of people really supporting it to the point where you blew out your goal like super quick.
Yeah. I I like branding and marketing, and I had to come up with. I wanted this to be more than just a game. So I'm already working on the designs for like the graphic novel. I wanted to have stuff like playmats.
Yes, go ahead. And you can get them exclusively when you pick up your copy of the game. Yes, make sure everyone knows.
And then we have right now we have 2.
Yeah, the A mat and the B mat.
This is actually the art for Series 1.1, the enhanced version of VT Heroes.
Oh, really?
There's gonna be there's 2 versions of the game coming out. They're gonna be the same cards, but one has better art because I was actually sort of like I was injured. I was mad injured. I couldn't draw. I had to like do it like
Wow, really?
take my good hand, Um,
Okay.
I had severed my tendons in my hand,
Ugh.
uh, so there was literally blood, sweat, and tears that went into making this game.
Wow. Okay.
Like legit, it was a lot of blood actually. It's a lot of blood.
So that's how you colored the red
Yeah,
VT red.
red is made out of my blood.
Gotcha. Huh.
um,
Okay.
but yeah, like so I wanted it to be more. I wanted to be expandable. I wanted to figure out ways where I could expand on it. I realized that making this is only series 1. It says it on the box. It's only series 1.
Hmm.
Series 2 is going to have different VT heroes with different elements and different, totems with different action cards. And you can mix and match them with Series 1. So you can make an even better character that you like that really flows with you. And I guess people really were digging the characters, and I stumbled into a whole subculture on Instagram of
Mm,
indie tokusatsu, which is just indie Power Rangers. Everybody was making their own, type of spandex teams and heroes and all that stuff.
right.
And I was like, wow, all right, cool. Like I was gonna just do it anyway, but I didn't realize I I was going to hit it with nostalgia. I was gonna be like, remember the '90s, remember the '80s, '90s, remember that? Come on. But then there's all these younger kids that are like, I mean, Power Rangers is still going on to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. Hmm.
Um, and they just announced a new series coming out soon. So I don't know. I just like going with this. I grabbed onto the right mark, the right genre at the right time. It was
Right.
something that's different enough, but something I knew enough about. And when you're creating your own characters and your own story, you can still mold things different from what's expected. Like that's why the body types and the change swap outs of the genders are like so.
Mhm.
That's like my edge.
I love it. I want to touch on this question before we wrap because this was one of the things that uh, also kind of gravitated me to this, and it was just finding something fun to play. Like in the world where people are constantly creating games, because now I think there's more games than we've ever seen. Um,
Yeah,
and it's a market that continues to grow on its own. I mean, to the point where if you see there's a physical store for it, then there's definitely a demand for it in some place, and that has been on the rise surprisingly.
yeah.
Because of that, there's always going to be gems that come through. So, my question for you is when your game hit the market and it got the reaction that it did, it funded, but on top of that, you're getting other people to evangelize the game, which is very unique. That says something about how fun the game is. When you figured out the game was fun and you knew that you could bring it to market, what was your first thought of how you were going to get this into people's hands?
One of the things that I was trying to find out was where can I get this game printed on a mass scale or either print on demand or something like how they have for my comics. Like I have our comics are we're indie comic developers, like and we use Kablam or
Right.
whatever studio and Lulu or whatever and just get your stuff printed. I was wondering, and I was like, is there one for board games and card games? It's gotta be. And I found Game Crafter, and I was like, let me see if there's others. 'Cause I want to, see if what price points, what options they give you, all that stuff. And other people just kept telling me to go back to Game Crafters. Um, and I don't know, it's the thing that once I knew I wanted to go like with the whole Ranger Sentai thing,
Right.
I just didn't want to draw faces. Um, and I knew it would be easier if everyone had the same uniform so that when I make the cards, I was just drawing a blank character and then just fill in the colors
Mm-hmm.
based on it. Because almost every character, there's always like a twin that shares a body type. Pink and white is the same body type. Blue and yellow are the same body type. Green and black.
Yep.
So I was just I was looking for shortcuts because of one, my hand.
Right.
Uh, So I could only draw for like anywhere from 10 minutes to, if I really wanted to be a gangster and cry through it, like 30 minutes. Then I
Ouch.
have to put my brace back on and like cool out for a while, like an hour or so.
Right. Oh.
Um, so, and then like I had ideas, and a friend of mine, Tim McAndrew, he hit me up and he was like, "Yo, I you should get one of like some of the Rangers for your convention." 'Cause he's big into like the Sentai Tokusatsu. I was like, I love Rangers. And he was like, well, I know their agent. Like I was like, all right, let's make this happen. And then next you know, now I'm like besties with these Rangers, and like I had them at my convention. And then on the thought of it, I was like, hey, I want to do something really cool. I want to do like an E3 style presentation or like a keynote, like how they do with Apple, but I want to do it with my game. But I want you two Power Rangers to be the players, like as the presenters. So have two Power Rangers battling each other in VT Heroes while I am on stage explaining how the game works. And I was like, I want a soundtrack too. Because eventually I want to make this into animation, or I might want to make it into like this really easy to put together like computer game.
Hmm.
So if I can get a soundtrack, I can just use this same soundtrack in everything. So it has like this one, recognizable sound. And then I started talking to other people and like awesome staff member of J1 Studios, one of the guys from the sound department is known as Fire. He was like, when I say this man plays every instrument, he's got it. And I was like, yo, you think you could do something about this? He was like, man, I was already working on this. Like, and he was just like, he showed it to me. And it's so 90s Power Ranger, like guitar riff and all that stuff. And I'm like, I want it to be cheesy like this. Like, I want that. And we only had that one song at the time for the presentation because we had the music play, and one of the guys from Paladins of Cosplay, they were awesome, and like I've known them guys, had them at my conventions and all. He sends me a video, and it's a VT Pink helmet rotating on this drying machine, like after he painted it, and I'm thinking it's like the small collectible thing, but I'm still like, that's amazing. But I know him for being a professional cosplayer, all that other stuff, doing like really cool giant robots and all that stuff.
All right.
I'm like, and then he goes and like he sends me another video of him putting the helmet on, and then behind him is a mannequin wearing the pink suit. And I'm like, oh my God, like you just made it's a real thing. And like we started talking, and he was like, yo, I want to be a part of this, that, the other thing. I was like, yo, you and the rest of the Paladins of cosplay need to be a part of this. All my cosplay friends who I trust like came in, and like they're all different VT heroes, because when I say I had a marketing plan, I was already ready to make 90s style commercials. I did one. I shot it in the backyard of one of VT Gray's house. And we borrowed some kids from like his neighbor's kids, and literally I told them the lines, I gave them lines, and like I filmed it, I shot it and all that stuff. And like the kids are playing in the backyard playing VT Heroes.
Right.
And every time they do a move, it cuts to another shot of that VT hero doing that move to the other one. And then like at the very end, the girl shows up. She's like, "My turn!"
Right.
Like a total '90s
Yeah.
like commercial. Like, and she has a big VT Gray in the back. Like, yeah, like And then I did the voiceover for it, and I was like, "It's got to sound super cheesy, nostalgic, like." And I'm up there like, play VT Heroes. You can be a winner and a battler. And like I did like the whole spiel.
That is impressive. That is impressive. All right, let's close on this because, yeah, all of that. Let's close on this. So you have this vision of what this. I'm gonna call it what it is. It's a franchise. You built a franchise. You built a world. So you have this world, and it's garnered positive response. People are digging it, and this is basically the beginning. When it's all said and done, and you have your world complete, you've built all of the extensions that could be. And see, I'm getting really creative with my words because I'm thinking Marvel, because Marvel just has like completely just threw everything out the window with MCU. But that's the possibility of having a world. Um, when everything's all said and done, what are you looking forward to saying or doing to say VT Heroes is complete?
I would say having it as a game on like say like the Switch or watching a show because I'm working with Common Ramen Studios. They did it on YouTube. They have a fight test video for
Mm.
VT Heroes, and they do like the Power Ranger stunt fight videos and all that stuff. They put on the suits and actually battle it out, and that's my Stan Lee moment. I got to like be on set and see my drawings fighting each other. I'm like, this is wild, man. Like this is what Stan Lee feels like when he was probably on set for like Avengers. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I don't even know because it's I can't say too much, but things are falling into play. Hopefully, I mean each series is going to get a Kickstarter. I wasn't expecting the outpour. Like I only asked for $500 because I didn't think anybody was going to support this like that, and I was gonna get $500 and that would cover the cost of getting like a bunch of copies made to send off to review studios and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But people liked my tiers, like the you could be a VT hero, like for the comic and the official story. And then a month later, I was at over $10,000. Like, yeah, $500 to like over $10,000. Like,
That's the answer. Perfect way to end this off. I'm excited for the future of this. It's very rare that I, whether passively or actively, am involved in something like this. So this was a pleasant surprise, and I want to thank you for being on ILNL, Jason. I want to thank you for creating this game. But side note, I want to thank you for showing, excuse me, for showing that this isn't a big boy game, and people like us can be creative, and that speaks volumes to me. So, Jason, thank you so much for being on the show. Highly appreciate it.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Everything you see on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, is all the contact information. Definitely check out on Instagram, um, and get yourself a copy of this game. Let's go ahead and close this thing out. Guys, um, I love having creators on. And if you know me from my past life before ILNL, we were really big about creators. We're going to have more creators here on ILNL. And this is just the beginning of all the cool stuff that we're doing outside of the regular show. So please make sure that you subscribe, hit the alert button, all the good stuff. And with that, for Chris, Kristen, and Chigo, I just thought all their names have like C sounds. Okay, cool. I'm Tim, and this is ILNL. I just keep thinking back to this 3-1.
You really hung up on this, man.